From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And man, it is that time for the premier sports betting show. Oh baby, I can't wait. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm gonna tell you guys like this. It's just crazy how every day you know that they're gonna just keep bringing up the new quarterback every day on. This guy could be the first pick in the draft, all that good stuff. But Anthony Richardson might have a good case. This guy is a really, really good quarterback, got a great upside and everything. I saw a report yesterday that the buzz, that Anthony Richardson getting buzz right now and has dropped to 7-1 at the MGM to be the number one pick in the draft. Is it hyper real? Literally what they're trying to say is he's not going to go number one. Okay, let's just get that out the way now. But what they're saying is that he's now became a top 10. They feel he can be a top 10 pick. All right. So when they see that you can be a top 10 pick, the hype does start. And they keep saying that they feel like he's the quarterback with the most upside when it comes down to future. And he is a guy that's leaving school a little early. And he is coming from a school that did not do much of anything last year, in my opinion, compared to the standards that Florida plays at. And so literally you're in a position where you will kind of be reaching. But the thing is, though, Patrick Mahomes has made a lot of these franchises a little bit more comfortable with guys that they see as a reach. But I think that all in all, that this is a move that's more about, trying to satisfy. This is a move that's more about just getting his status up. And a lot of times, this is where your agents come into play. So if you got a good agent, your agent also needs to know how to sell you. And that's exactly what the agent is doing, is that he's selling something here, and they're giving out this idea that he's worth everything that they're saying. And then you might get a guy in the media who's just in love with everything that you're doing, and then they're going to gloat and do all that good stuff for you as well, too. Now, when I look at his numbers, he threw for 17 touchdowns and had 9 interceptions last year, and threw for 2,500 yards and 2,549 yards, okay? His longest pass of the season was the 78-yarder. He didn't play much his sophomore year. He didn't play at all his freshman year. He played a few snaps. So there's not much here to say, okay, this guy is somebody I want to go ahead and invest in. But he did have a hell of a game against Vanderbilt in a loss. But see, Vanderbilt's one of the worst teams in the SEC. So that's not really something that you win some big points off of, you know what I mean? And then you beat up on a Texas A&M team that wasn't good, and South Carolina got good at the end of the year. So I'm looking at the numbers from those games, and it just, it doesn't stand out to me to where it makes me get excited about this guy, especially his final game with Florida as well, too, because he didn't play in the bowl game. So in the final game, he throws for 3 touchdowns, but he only threw for 198 yards and was 9 for 27. That's awful, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's awful. Even though you got 3 touchdowns out the deal, there were some long bombs, things of that nature, but you had a QBR of 60.5. And then in the UGA game, he was absolutely awful. And literally, when you look at games like that one, yeah, he had 271 yards, but he's 18 for 37 with the QBR of 45.1. And I look at that and I measure that as him going against a prototypical defense that the NFL will produce. Maybe not a top defense in the NFL, but it has the NFL look to it, and he was absolutely atrocious against them. So I think that the upside and the excitement is there, and rightfully so, because you don't want to miss out on a guy that you think can be the person that can change your franchise. But I would say that it would be a reach, and I would say that there are a few teams out there that would love to reach. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who would love to get an in-state guy, you know what I mean, a guy who just went to Florida University. That would be awesome, you know what I mean, for them. You got also, you have the Carolina Panthers, who are very interested in him, and Will Levis is probably going to come down to those two. Then you do have others that are going to be able to enter the race as well too, like the Raiders, if they don't move up, you know. So there is some top 10 worthiness to what's being said. But I think that what happens here is that what they do is just really set him up to go in the mid to late first round. And he'll wind up probably on a team that was in the playoffs last year, you know, and get seasoned as a backup. Because literally this guy is probably the one guy who's not going to start right away. Will Levis is probably a guy that they'll day one start. Stroud and Bryce are starters. They're going to be starting, okay, because they're going to franchises that are looking to them to lead, and they've already proven that they're great leaders. So there it is. There it is. That's all I got to say for now about Anthony Richardson. I'm not trying to dog the kid, but he is coming out of the woodwork as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But, you know, I wish everybody well. But this is going to be a tough call for a lot of folks, man, moving forward. But let's go ahead and talk about some college basketball tonight. You know that UCLA is pretty much the de facto team that we talk about here, even though we talk about everybody. But, you know, UCLA has their special little segment, their special little topic. And, you know, UCLA does face their toughest road trip in the Pac-12, with the first stop being in the SLC. You know, and that, if you don't know what SLC is, it's Salt Lake City, okay? So they played a pretty good game against Utah earlier this year. That was actually, I think, one of their early Pac-12 games as well. They had a little bit of a difficult time with Colorado, but they were able to win both of those games, and they were able to win both of those games in convincing fashion as well, too, because they were able to, you know, the game was pretty close, and then they just ended it. You know what I mean? That's what UCLA does. They beat Utah 68-49 last time out. They jumped on them early in the first half, and then they just finished the job in the second half. Tiger Campbell had a big day that day, 50% shooting from the field and 50% shooting from the three-point line as well. Jaime had 12 rebounds in that game with 5 offensive rebounds to attest to it. And then Campbell also had 7 assists. And Nueva had one of his better games of his career. He had 5 blocks that day. UCLA was pretty good from the three-point line as well. And they had 21 assists to 9, 37 rebounds to 22. 12 offensive rebounds to 4. So they were absolutely dominant, and they forced 15 turnovers, even though they had 12 of their own. It really didn't matter because they did everything right that day. So this right here was probably one of the more thorough beatdowns that UCLA had, because they never trailed in the game, and they literally just went ahead and ended it there in the second half. Now, their last game, they did very well. They wound up beating Cal by 35 points, okay? And there's no shock there, but, you know, Cal, they literally just said, you're going to sit right here, and we're going to go ahead and beat on you for a bit, and then, you know, we're going to send you back up there to Berkeley. They had 3 guys in double figures as well, too. Amari Bailey finally showed up to the party with 16 last game, so that means that he should be heating up. Tiger Campbell took the back seat in that game and only had 7 points that day, but I think he did give up shots to let Amari get his groove on. And, you know, this was the type of game where he can showcase how good he is, because it's against Cal. So you're not going to ask him to do too much. And he did get a heavy amount of minutes that day as well. Dave Singleton was also good as usual. Hits a 3. You know, his consecutive 3 streak is still going. He only had 5 points, but they didn't need much from their bench. Truly, they didn't. They just needed a bench just to be there, and that's exactly what happened. The bench wound up supplying only 16 points, but the starters did so good. Jaime, Amari, and Jalen were just outstanding. So everything is working out very well for UCLA moving forward, and UCLA is on the path to be one of those teams here in the national title picture as well. They're looking like a Final Four team, to be honest. But we all know that this is going to be the toughest tournament ever. And I'm going to say it twice. Ever, in my opinion. Because it's so stacked. And literally, it's because we got so many guys that have stuck around in college basketball and have helped these teams build up to be really good teams now. And college basketball has slowly returned back to being the American, the American thrill, what I mean? The real American basketball, because it's all shapes and sizes and forms that are playing hoop in college basketball. In the NBA, you have to have a specific size, you have to have a specific name, you have to have a lot of things working in your favor to be in the NBA and stay in the NBA. College basketball is just pure basketball. And now it's showing up again because you're getting the one and dones out the way with them just going straight to the G League now. The guys that feel like they don't need college, all right, cool, go to the G League and go be disappointed there. We don't have time to for you to blame the school for you not doing well. So pretty much UCLA is in probably the return of the golden era of college basketball, which is going to benefit them so much. And UCLA is coming in here on a nice win streak as well too, but that's what makes everything kind of shaky here with the Bruins. They've won the last 6 in a row, and the Bruins are the type of team, it seems like everything has been in consecutive wins, and then consecutive losses. Both their losses, they've lost back to back. So UCLA right now is at the most critical point of their season. And I think if they can win these next 4 games and Houston slips up somewhat, and it's going to probably take a lot more than that. You're going to probably have to have Kansas slip up as well too. But I think UCLA should, if they win these next 4 games, they should be no less than the number 3 team in the nation, possibly the number 2, because I thought they were going to number 1 last week, but that did not happen. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be one that is near and dear to me. I couldn't wait to talk about it today, and that's going to be us talking about the 30 teams in 30 days. And guess what? We got the Tampa Devil Rays here. Tampa Devil Rays coming in here last season were 86-76 last year. This team is literally coming back as the same squad. Everything's homegrown with the Rays at the end of the day. That's what everybody has to understand. Everything is about building through the farm, okay? Yandy Diaz is back. Wander Franco, a guy that they were just so in love with, he's back as well too. Their coveted slugger, Zarina, is back as well too. Who they were so excited about him when they were making that World Series run as well. You got Brandon Lowe back, second baseman. Harold Ramirez is coming back as well. You have Bethencourt, who's a pretty decent catcher. But when you look at this team, they do have guys who do hit for average pretty well. They're not 300 hitters, but they're above they're well above 250. And you have Franco, who could possibly be a 300 plus hitter this year as well too. And you got these guys that can get on base as well. They slug the ball. And one thing that they do well is they can work the walks. And from what I'm seeing here, yeah, your power hitters are going to strike out a lot because they're a little bit more aggressive. But their top hitters, their 1 and 2 hitters, they're very comfortable on where they're at. And then you also have a good look of things when it comes down to it. But this team will be very strikeout prone as well too. Jose Siri looks to be somebody that could be a weak link for this team, even though they have him set to hit 14 home runs with 50 RBIs and be one of their one of their running mavens as well too. They got him slated to go for 18 stolen bases. Now, the thing that's going to make Tampa Bay good this year is going to be their is pitching. Shane McClellan is back, 13-8. Tyler Glasnow, Drew Rasmussen. These guys are some usual suspects. All three were part of that World Series team as well. They add Zach Eflin, who a few years ago was seen as, that guy in Philadelphia. And then you got Jeffrey Springs as well, too. But you look at their top half of their pitching staff, absolutely ultimate. And they might have the best pitching staff in the AL East, but that doesn't mean anything towards them winning a championship this year or them even being in the playoffs this year. I think that they're going to need to have some real run support behind these pitchers, because the bullpens are good, but the bullpens burn out if they're getting way too overworked. And I think that's what's going to happen to the Rays this year. The Rays aren't going to be a bad team. I wouldn't say they're a below 500 team, but I don't see the playoffs for them this year. I think that these last few years was a good measure of what they could be and what they could become, but I think they missed their window, to be honest, because they've lost a lot of key players since that team that played in the World Series. And the Rays were really set to win that World Series, in my opinion. If we had a regular season, I think that even though I'm a Dodger, I would still say that they possibly would have won if there was a longer season, in a sense, and if we were actually traveling. You know what I mean? Because I think that they would have been more dangerous in Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? They would have been really tough for the Dodgers to beat in Tampa Bay, and they would have figured out a way to win in LA as well, too. So that's crazy coming from a guy who loves the Dodgers, but the Rays, to me, had a lot of things that were going in their favor, but the Dodgers were able to put it together and show the will of a champion, and they were able to get it done. So, when I look at this with the Rays now, I'm going to just say this. I don't think that they fall that short under this number, but 88 to me is a lot of wins. I feel like they're going to be an 85, 86 win team this year. Okay. I'm just keeping it real. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's what they're going to be this year. I think that they'll probably finish 8-74, 88, and they'll possibly finish 86-76 again this year, because you got to understand, I'm going off the fact that they didn't even win 88 games last year. So and the team isn't as good as they were last year when you look at the projected numbers. They look like they're going to struggle a little bit, but they'll possibly be in the wild card race as well too. So, don't sleep all the way on the Rays, but I have them going under. Okay. It's just that simple. I got them going under, and I really truly feel like the Yankees are really head and shoulders above the rest of the division, except for the Blue Jays. But we talk about the Blue Jays tomorrow. So you guys stay with me, stay tuned. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into the NBA. And we're going to first start off with the Lakers. And then we're going to talk about NBA Thursday night. And then after that, we got Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. And you guys already know what time it is. You already know what time it is, So pretty much state of the Lakers. Lakers looking now, everybody wants to be a Laker fan again. Isn't that funny? You know what I mean? Isn't that pretty funny that everybody wants to be a Laker again? Because they see the Lakers as them guys. They no more Westbrook. So now everybody can come back on the wave because they don't feel the late. Now the Lakers failed super team is separated. Now, if there was a bunch of success with Russ, the hate would still be the same. It doesn't matter. It just didn't want the Lakers to be have so many guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. It's like it was getting ridiculous. That LeBron had Dwight Howard, he had Carmelo Anthony, he had what else did he have? He had a lot of people. He was like, I'm trying to think, like who else did the Lakers have? They had everybody that they had a fake jersey on for the last 10 years. Like literally, AD was a part of that time when the Lakers were really bad, and they kept being like, well, the Lakers are saving cap space, and they're going to get Anthony Davis, they're going to get Russell Westbrook, they're going to get Carmelo Anthony, they're going to get LeBron James, they're going to get this guy, they're going to get that guy. And all those guys came. Andre Drummond was a part of one of those. He came. And it's crazy because the Lakers still didn't win any championships off of this. It's just absolutely stupid. And they did get one title out the group, but then LeBron literally makes them tear that team apart. And it's like, why are we tearing the team apart? Come on. The Lakers come back the next season. AD gets hurt. Things kind of went to the left. Lakers come in as a 7th seed, and they go from being the first and second seed at one point to the 7th seed. And it's been downhill ever since. It's been downhill ever since that day. I was sitting in Vegas at the Circa Swim on Memorial Day weekend, and the Lakers were up 2-1 and lost that series. So it just hasn't been the same for the last, I would say, 2 years. So the Lakers now are probably in their most comfortable state of a roster this year. You know what I mean? They got Russell Westbrook out of the room. That was a distraction. I don't think that the coach could coach the way he wanted to with, dealing with trying to appease Russell Westbrook. And I don't think that Russell Westbrook could play the way that he wanted to play because he was dealing with the inexperienced head coach. So, when you're getting into it with players left and right, you know what I mean? And you got one guy that you're constantly getting into it with, then it's not going to work. So pretty much they got the guy out the room that was kind of what we would say a Buzz Killington to the Lakers. So LeBron can now navigate a little bit better, and he might not have a guy that's just like, well, F what you talking about. I'm going to go do what I want to do. Now LeBron, it seems like he has full control, even though AD is starting to have his little bit of a side eye with LeBron as well too. It's because you want LeBron to show more effort. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's doing great, man. Yeah, he's getting 40 points. He's getting 42. He's killing it. He's doing everything that he got to do, but he was trying to break a scoring record. And then the Lakers lost multiple games because he didn't play defense at the end. And this has been a problem all season. The Lakers have probably blew 10 games this year because LeBron James refused to play defense in the last 2 minutes. But he gets the excuse because he's the king, right? So the Lakers are in a position now to where they got 23 games left. They're in a shut up situation. It's no more time. Okay? It's no more of that. The Lakers have to start winning games, and they got to start winning consecutive games. They have to go on a streak. They got to start this thing off with the defending world champions, the Golden State Warriors, who are luckily struggling this month. The Warriors are coming in here before they even got here. They were absolutely dreadful. Okay, they had just dropped their last 3 out of 4, and for the month they're actually 3-5. So pretty much they are playing pretty bad basketball after starting off 2-2 and having a 2-game winning streak as well. The Lakers just recently beat them 2 weeks ago, and they beat them by 6. The Lakers had a game where they went back and forth literally the whole game, and then the Lakers took over in the second half. And this was pretty much literally like opening night for D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Vanderbilt. And I think Mo Bamba didn't come until the New Orleans game. But still, you had the Lakers take care of their business last night, and that was take care of their business that day. And you got excited, and then they went to Portland and were absolutely terrible. You know what I mean? No LeBron, so nobody showed up. But there was no LeBron in the Golden State game, and they still showed up for that one. Now, when they played Milwaukee, that was a game that they could have won, but they kind of slipped up at the end there. And Oklahoma City, that's still pissing off everybody because that was LeBron. That was LeBron break the record night. Like, you're not supposed to lose that game. You know what I mean? So the Lakers right now are 3-4 this month, luckily. And as I said before, I said the best bet for the Lakers right now is to try to finish up this month 5-5. But I'm looking at the schedule right now. These 3 games are going to be extra tough because you got Golden State tonight at home. That's probably going to be your easiest game because you don't have Steph playing in that game. Then you got Dallas, who's just got Kyrie, and they're trying to get comfortable. And Kyrie's going to probably have a chip on his shoulder to beat the Lakers on national television on Sunday because the game is going to be on ABC exclusively. Like, ABC is showing this as, the game of the week. And then you got Memphis Tuesday night on TNT. So, and Memphis is got some big-ass chip on their shoulder from what happened at Staples Center a few weeks back with Shannon Sharp and, everybody running on the court when they didn't need to. So, pretty much you got 2 teams that are struggling right now, and they're both chasing the playoffs, and they both know that they can't go on a losing streak. It's that simple. Any losing streak for the Lakers or the Warriors, their season is done. The Lakers are now sitting right now 2 games behind Oklahoma City, 2.5 games behind Golden State, 3 games behind Minnesota and New Orleans, and then they're sitting 3.5 games behind Dallas, and they're sitting exactly 4.5 games behind Phoenix, and they're sitting 5 games behind the Clippers. And then the leaders of the board, the top 3, you got Sacramento, who is actually 6 games ahead of the Lakers. So as I keep telling you guys, all it takes is one little streak. That's it. But the saddest part about the Lakers is that they got 2 teams that already have a game and a half in front of them. And they got more games with them. But I just called out 3 different playoff teams 3 teams that are slated for the playoffs right now. And if they can get 3 in a row right now, when you see the way that this is setting up, the Lakers could possibly be in the play-in by that time. Because I think Oklahoma City is holding on for dear life. They're going to start kind of folding up here in the second half of the season as injuries start to rear their ugly head. I hate to do that, but that's what usually happens to teams like OKC when they're having bright seasons that nobody saw coming. There's an injury that nobody's going to see coming as well too. Then Minnesota is a 50-50 team as is, and I think New Orleans really does need to get Zion back at some point because they're not going to be able to hold on to this if Zion doesn't get back in time. But this 6 is going to be tough to crack. In my opinion, it's going to be really tough to crack. But I think the team that might find themselves on the odd man out of this situation might not be Dallas. It might be Phoenix because they don't have the chemistry yet, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are picking them to win the championship, but they got rid of a lot of their core players. So I'm not going to go and jump on the front runner bandwagon like the rest of everybody. After they heard what LeBron said, after they heard what AD said, that these games are so important to them. So right now, as I say all the time, the Lakers have to take it one game at a time. And tonight it starts with New Orleans. I think that it starts with the Warriors. I'm so sorry. They just beat New Orleans. But it starts with a great effort at home tonight. And it would be great to watch them beat the Warriors for the second time in the last few weeks as well, even though the Warriors will have a chip on their shoulder as well, too. But the Lakers have been playing great defense the last 2 out of 3 games, except for the game against Portland. But the other two games, they only gave up 103 to the Warriors, and they only gave up 102 to the Pelicans. So the defense is getting better. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Lakers, Warriors tonight, Staples Center, aka the Crypto.com Center now. Okay, it's the Crypto.com Center, all right, or arena, whatever they want to call it. But we call it Staples. And so tonight at Staples, we got ourselves a game between the up north rival. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into NBA Thursday night. NBA Thursday night looking fun. We got the Cavs and the Nuggets tonight. That's a big one. I wouldn't say a possible finals preview, but this is a game between two of the top teams in the East and the West. And pretty much you got a Nuggets team over here just riding the wave right now. This team is sitting really, really pretty right now, 41-18, got a 5-game lead in the Western Conference. They're feeling good about themselves. They also, have did pretty good this year on the road from what I can see. Much better home team, though. But, they're kind of middling against the Eastern Conference, but that's fine. This is the type of game, though, that they've been dropping lately because they'll go into these games and, they might need to get into the rhythm. But, man, when you got Jokic and Murray playing the way that they are, and then you add in Aaron Gordon into the mix with MPJ, and then the guy that was kind of thrown away by the Lakers, kind of a toss in on the Kuzma deal to get what Russell Westbrook and all that stuff. Now you tell yourself you wish you still had KCP. KCP is a vital, vital part of this team, and he's the best three-point shooter on their team as well, too. So that works out very well. And then you got DeAndre Jordan, another former Laker, who's contributing pretty well with this team as well, too, in the 34 games that he's played. He's only given them so many minutes, but he's actually scoring buckets with them. But that's what happens when you got a whole unit that enjoys playing with each other. All right, so the Nuggets are looking really good right now. The Nuggets are sitting in a position that has them this month one of the more dominant teams in the NBA. That's why they stay being the number one team in their conference. They've actually went ahead and won. They've actually won 6 out of 8 this month. So they have 6-2, and they got 4 more games to go as well. So, there's a lot to still do for Denver, but Denver is taking care of their business and figuring out how you win in this league consistently. It's that simple. Now, you had the Cavaliers start off this month with a 7-game I want to say 7, and it was. They started the month 7-0, and then they lost to Philly their last game before All-Star break. Now they finish up the month with 2 games at home and 1 on the road, and then 1 on the road is in the middle. They're playing Atlanta, who's going to have a brand new head coach on Friday night. You got Denver tonight, and then on Sunday you got Toronto. This team is playing very, very good basketball. They're one of the top home teams in the league when it comes to straight up. And they've been good against the Western Conference this year, especially at home. But they ran into some really good teams at home as well too. So you got Donovan Mitchell coming into this one, 27.3 tonight. So I truly do feel like this one actually is going to be a very close game. I like the spread on the Nuggets. Yes, the spread is not big. It's only 2.5. And it's like, Pop, you usually take the money line. But I have another dog here that has a little bit more value in this group. So I'm putting it on the Nuggets tonight to just at least cover. I think the Nuggets can win the game, but I think that we could mess around and lose the game by 1 or 2 points as well, too. So that's why I said let's take the insurance because it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a national television game, so it should be good. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, let's get into a fun matchup as always. We got the two cities that mean so much to Larry Bird. Boston, where he played his NBA career at, and Indianapolis, where he had his coaching gig at, and he was able to be the president of the Pacers as well too. So, gets a lot of love in Indiana, but he gets a lot of love in Boston as well too. So these teams are always going to be connected at the hip because of their relationship with Larry Bird, the legend. All right, so you have a Boston team 42-7, most wins in the NBA right now by a game. By a game, they're just that much better than Denver. And then you got the Pacers who are 26-34. Okay, the Pacers coming into this one and struggling just a little bit. They had probably their best month back in December, but December was a long time ago. Since then, they've struggled. All right, so pretty much you have a team that's now 2-6 this month out of their 8 games. They lost a close one to the Lakers early in the month, but then they won a really good game against the Kings. And then on the way to All-Star break, they were able to shock the system a little bit and beat the Bulls. But other than that, it's been a real uphill climb for this team. They've been blown out about 4 times this month as well. So they're trying to get themselves back in order. Boston, on the other hand, Boston is just trying to get healthy. And, they're taking their sweet time doing it. But they just got a great machine going right now. Joe Mazzulla just picked up where Yume left off, and he's taking them to a whole nother level. Okay, and they've had some big blowouts this month as well too. They destroyed Brooklyn. They beat them by 43 points. So, this team ain't messing around with nobody right now. Boston. Boston is sitting pretty right now as well too, 6-2 this month, and they are moving. They got a good win over Detroit, beating them by 18 in Boston. They're going to finish up this month with 3 games on the road before they play Cleveland on the 1st of March. So this one right here is a very important stretch for this team because it gives them some playoff, some playoff toughness. But when I look at this game tonight, I do like the under 232.5 here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Pacers and the Celtics in Indianapolis tonight. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be the Sixers and the Grizzlies. This game is going to be in Philly tonight. We all know a few weeks back, the Grizzlies absolutely got shredded by the 76ers. And tonight they're trying to, get their revenge here. And, it's not been good for the Grizzlies since that Laker fiasco last month. When they played the Lakers, they were on a 5-game road trip. That was the first game of the road trip. They dropped every single game. When they can't start off the month of February, they dropped their first 3 games in a row. They won, but they've won their last 3 out of 4. At one point they had lost 8 out of 9 games. So, they know that they got to get this thing together. So pretty much everything is working out a little bit better. They got a good win against Utah, even though it was seen that they should have blew them out. They looked awful against Boston. You know what I mean? It's like they're not looking that good against the top tier teams, but they had some really bad losses, though, in my opinion. Losing to Portland was a bad loss at home. Losing to Toronto was a really bad loss at home. And, they seem to be, they were considered bulletproof at home, but that's not anymore. But they still got one of the better records. But this month, they are sitting at 3-4. So this team has the rest of the West catching up with them. They're now the 2 seed. They were the 1 seed for a bit. So now they're really trying to hold off teams like Sacramento, teams like the Clippers, teams like the Suns, and the Mavericks as well too, because they're not that far behind them. So I truly do feel like what happens here is that you have a Philly team that is really just going about their business. They're 38-19, but they're playing some of the best basketball. Harden and Embiid give you that fit. I know it sounds crazy right now, even though he's not playing, like he used to. They kind of give me that Kobe Shaq feel, that Big O Kareem feel, in a sense. These guys really are really in unison together, and they really enjoy playing together. That's what makes the 76ers such a dangerous team in the Eastern Conference this year. Everybody keeps talking about the Celtics and the Bucks, but I think that the Sixers need to be mentioned as well too. They got one of the better coaches in the NBA, and they got one of the better rosters in the NBA. So y'all got to put some respect on their name, because they're going to be right there in the thick of things, and they'll be giving the Bucks their issues as well too there when they meet up in the semifinal round. But I think that all in all, we're in store for a great series if they are able to meet up with the Celtics in the conference finals this year. Now, they've won their last 4 in a row. They got some good wins over New York and Brooklyn, and then they got an easy win over Houston, and then they were able to beat Cleveland at home the other night. So this team is looking to continue the good times. And, when you won your last 6 out of 8, you should be feeling pretty good. And, last month they had a great month as well. So, they finished up that month actually winning their last 7 out of 8. So when you really look at what's going on here with this team, they've actually won their last 13 out of 16 games. So, this team is just keeps on steady climbing, trying to get to the top. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. I like the 76ers with the 3.5 tonight. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the game that I feel is going to get us some value tonight, and that's going to be the Pelicans and the Raptors. You got a Pelicans team coming in here 30-29. They're going to be without Zion. Again, Zion will probably be back sometime in mid-March, if not late March. Then you have Brandon Ingram, who's getting back on the good foot as well. They're 30-29 coming in. Raptors 28-31. Raptors actually are playing pretty good this month. They won 2 in a row before they went into the All-Star break. They are actually 5-2 this month, and they've actually won their last 5 out of 6 games, and they've won their last 5 out of 6 as well too. So, they 5 out of 7, literally, 5-2. But they had a 3-game winning streak that was snapped after they lost to start the month off, and then they finished up with another 2-game winning streak before they went into the All-Star break. So that's something to look at. The Raptors, that's why they are kind of a heavy favorite here. But when I look at it, the Pelicans record, they're 4-3 as well. They have dropped the last 2 out of 3 after winning 3 in a row, but they played against pretty good teams in that 2 out of 3. They lost to Cleveland by 11. Then they were able to get a close, hard-fought win against Oklahoma City. Then they had to go to L.A. They had to go to LA. They lost to them on Wednesday, and they got beat down. They got beat by 18. But they've been able to bounce back in these spots, and it seems like they're playing these teams that are below 500 very, very well. And I know that they really want to make sure that they don't go back into another funk, because they did drop 9 games in a row. And another funk for them is something that can happen in a snap. Hopefully you heard that. So, pretty much what I like here, though, I like that the Pelicans are coming into this game with confidence. You know what I mean? Because they're coming fresh off of a bad loss, but they had fun All-Star weekend, especially GTA Alvarado. You know what I mean? Grand Theft Alvarado. That man, I love that guy. That guy is such just what making the NBA is all about. The guy went to Georgia Tech, of all places, led them to a rare ACC title, and then they were able to kind of do some things in the tournament as well too. When they were in the tournament that year, that was able to boost Mike Alvarado to the NBA. So pretty much with that, I like the Pelicans tonight with the plus 190 money line as my NBA dog of the day. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so we got ourselves the Blazers and the Kings to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Very good game tonight between two heated rivals as well too. You know that De'Aaron Fox is coming fresh off his first All-Star game, so a lot of De'Aaron Fox fans are really excited. I had a little bit of exchange of words with a good friend of mine, Mr. Brian Howard, aka Beho, and he seemed to show that how much he hated Zoe. So, it's all good. He was like, De'Aaron Fox was always better and blah, blah. I said, well, I guess you just didn't watch these guys play in high school. So it's all good. But I always feel that De'Aaron Fox was motivated by all the love that Lonzo Ball got. Like, he literally was like the little jealous kid in the corner, like, I could do better than that. I could do better than that. And I could do better than that. And he had to show and prove to us that he could do better than that. And he did. So eventually, De'Aaron Fox may be a guy that they consider an MVP candidate as well, too. He has the same type of trajectory that Westbrook had in a sense, but he's a little bit more controlled. He's a little bit more faster. He's a little bit more polished, and he's just a hooper. He's just a baller. And it seems like him, Bam, and Malik all really worked out. And the reason why they're really a good team this year is because Malik Monk did come and join his former college teammate. And you have to understand that big three, that unit was so tight. You have to understand that these guys, when they lost in that tournament, they all sat in that locker room and boo-hooed and literally were forced to go to the NBA by John Calipari. So, that's why you see a lot of great things going on with the Kings this year, is because they got the right unit in there. Keegan Murray, the guy that I picked to win Rookie of the Year this year. He probably won't win Rookie of the Year this year, but he's still the most impactful rookie in the NBA. Banchero is going to win it because Banchero is the best player on the Magic now, but I still feel that you got to make a great impact on your team, and that means making a great impact by helping them get over the hump. And this is a team in Sacramento that took a while to get over the hump. Now, when we look at what's going on this month, you have the Blazers are kind of going through the motions. The Blazers are kind of in the way, in my opinion. They're a team that's not going to make the playoffs this year. They don't play good enough defense for that, but they are 4-4 this month, but they did drop their last 2 out of 3, okay? And they did have a pretty bad loss at home against Washington, but Washington started to play really good basketball. But, you just didn't like the fact that, one night they beat the Lakers by 12. The night before that, when they play Oklahoma City, they lose by 9. And then after they play the Lakers, they lose by 25. But they got a good win over Golden State as well, too. And they were on a 5-game homestand, but still went 2-3. So what can you trust this team to do? But I think tonight, though, they'll be right in the thick of things when it comes down to this game, because they are 2-1 this month when it comes down to being on the road. And it seems like they can always find a way to just surprise you. And I think the Blazers can surprise them a bit tonight. And then, I know that they do have guys out, but I think the Blazers do have enough guys in place that can help Lillard out, because as long as you have Lillard, you're good. You're in the game, in my opinion. So, and Nurkic, what has Nurkic been doing since he broke his leg a few years back? Absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? He get some rebounds, get some points, but I feel like Nurkic was supposed to be right there, side by side with Jokic, and actually they actually said he was better than Jokic, because they traded those two for each other. You know that, right? So pretty much it's been Jokic's world, and Nurkic has just been kind of just going through the motions, you know what I mean? And he's one of the more lazier defenders. So, at the end of the day, it might be a helpful thing for the Blazers that he's not playing tonight. But all in all, I think that this game winds up going over. We got a 242.5. It was 239.5 to start it off, but I'm going to take it, because you got to understand, I put all these notes and everything together last night. So if things look a little funny right now, it's because what happened last night. And pretty much when you look at the Blazers 28-30, you see the Kings 32-25. The Kings are holding on for dear life in the toughest division in basketball, in the Pacific Division, which looks like they're going to probably be the first division to put all 5 teams into the playoff this year. And if they are able to do that, that means that the NBA has that it was really not about the conference. It was just about one division. So when I see this, they have a 1-game lead over the Clippers, but the Clippers have more wins. But the Clippers have three more losses than the Kings as well, too. So all it takes is for the Clippers to get on a nice little run, and they're back in first place. Then you have Phoenix, who's only a game and a half out, and then you have the Warriors, who are actually 3.5 games out, 29-29 on the season. So, the Kings are really in a bad spot, because when you look at everybody else, Memphis has a 5.5 point game lead over Dallas. And then Denver is running away with the Northwest. They have an 11-game lead over Minnesota. But you look at Sacramento, it's like, yeah, bruh, I don't think you're going to win that Pacific title because the Clippers and Phoenix are coming. And then the Warriors are on the outside looking in. And then the Lakers want to swing from the top of that tree and try to get into this situation as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing that we're going to have ourselves a really good schedule tonight. We got 9 games in the NBA. I've talked about 6 of them because you got to add in the Laker game as well, too. So you're only going to get 5 of them, though, because I don't like putting the Lakers on big tickets and everything unless we have to. So there it is. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and take another quick break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And you guys can check out my cool little interviews. I got my interview up with Sean Merriman, got my interview up with Jake Plummer, and the president of the Pat Tillman Foundation as well, too. He's a part of it. Also, we have another great interview with Ryan Bader as well, too. So you guys be on the lookout for that. 3 brand new interviews up right now. And yesterday I did put up the Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, Charles Woodson, all that good stuff. Man, I did over 40 interviews in Arizona a few weeks back for Radio Row. So, you know, everything keeps going. And I may be confirming some big news Monday as well, too, because it looks like that possibly I might be on the road again, but we're going to have to confirm everything by this weekend. So, let's go ahead and jump into our first group in Talking Tickets. We got a 47-1 ticket here with the PrimeTime PK6. We got North Texas with the -150. Then we also have St. Francis NY with the +77.5. We also have Charleston today at home with the -9. Then we have Rio Grande Valley, a slight dog, +115. And then we got Santa Barbara, who's trying to bounce back after 3 consecutive losses. We got them with the -5 tonight. And then we have Portland U with the +8. So there it is, 47-1 on the Primetime PK6. Let's jump into the high value ticket, the 122-1. I'm going to throw in Central Connecticut State at +150. We got Northwestern, who actually last night I had them at a +175. It jumped up to a +210. So now it's sitting at 1. So now it's giving us the increase in value that, you know, I quite possibly thought was going to happen. Then I'm going for the big enchilada on Thursday. On a Thursday, he's Tuesday. I'm telling you right now, though, this is always a fun bet when you're betting in this conference because you never know what's going to happen. And the way that this is set up, Rice is one of their better teams in the conference, but they have them as a 12.5-point dog tonight. Yes, I know UAB is a really good team, but I know UAB could blow a game, and I know Rice has been good at getting some big upsets this year. I think Rice does get the upset tonight. I'm taking them with the +550. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. but that's going to be my absolute dog of the day right there. So why don't you go ahead and feel a little froggy? You add in the Pelicans at plus 190, and then you can add yourself a 5-piece. All right. We got St. Thomas in a game where they shouldn't be the dog, but I might be saying that before I regret that. But I like them today. They present a lot of value as well, too, at plus 145. So, as I always like to say, single what you like. And we move forward to our final ticket, and that's going to be the NBA Super High Five. As I said before, I got the Nuggets plus 2.5. Also got the under 232.5 with the Celtics and the Pacers. Then we have the 76ers minus 3.5. And then we have the Pelicans plus 195. I said plus 190. It's plus 195. Sorry, y'all. And then we have the over 242.5 with the Blazers and the Kings. This is going to give us a 38-1 ticket. All right, so we see nothing but value here. Nothing but value here. Nothing but big value here. So I like it. I hope you like it. And let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But that is our talking tickets for today. So tomorrow, I should be on this situation with PrimeTime Angles a little earlier, probably about 11, 12 o'clock. And then 1 o'clock, I want you guys to tune into No Filter Network. And you guys will see the premiere of the Pop DiBiase show on No Filter. So you guys be tuned in. Hopefully I can get I got Mike Abadir's show coming up in a minute at 4 o'clock Western time. And hopefully maybe we can get him on there tomorrow. And we're trying to work on getting Jeff. But we'll be talking a lot of college basketball tomorrow. And we'll be talking some NFL and talking a little bit of boxing as well, too. Because T.O. and Josh Taylor just confirmed that they will be getting it on June 10th in NYC. So that's what it is, and that's what it's going to be. So with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.